Hey guys, my name is Kaplan. I'm here for your high school assembly today. I want to be just explain to you guys a little bit about your identity and just kind of shine a new light on the power of words and on the words that you speak over people. Before I start, I know you can probably see the words written all over my arms, and they do have a meaning and a purpose. I don't just do that for fun. So just stay patient and I'll explain to you at the end what they do mean and what they represent. But I want to start with a story. There's this little boy, and his name's Jaheim Herrera. He's from Georgia. He's 11 years old, and he wakes up one day before school, and he doesn't want to go at all. And his mom's so confused. She's like, what's wrong? What's the matter? And he says, I just don't want to go. And so she makes him go, like every good mom would. And when he gets there, something amazing happens. He gets his report card. And he brings it back home, and he's like, Mom, oh my gosh, look, I got straight A's. And so he brings it to her, and he shows her, and everyone's just so happy. His dad's happy, his little sister's happy, and they stick it on the fridge, and they just rejoice. So his mom tells him, all right, Jaheim, I need you to go upstairs, I need you to do your homework, and just work on some stuff, clean your room, I'm going to make dinner, and we'll come get you when it's time for dinner. So she's making dinner, Jaheim goes upstairs, and when she's done, she looks at her younger daughter. She says, can you go get your big brother from upstairs, come down, tell him that dinner's ready. So she goes upstairs and she knocks on the door. And when she knocks, she doesn't hear anything. So she opens the door and she looks in, and she can see in the closet her older brother, Jaheim, hanging from a belt. And when she sees this, she screams and runs downstairs, tells her mom that he had hanged himself. Upon further interviews after this incident had happened, Jaheim's mother had said that he had told her that he had been made fun of at school a little bit and bullied, and people had constantly just called him names and very consistently called gay. He was called ugly. They had said he was too skinny. They'd nicknamed him the Virgin because he grew up in the British Virgin Islands. So this had all happened on April 16th, and it was incredibly tragic, but I want you to understand how powerful your words are, even simple words, even just things you think are funny that you're saying to people and speaking over them, and how powerful that can be. I read about this experiment done by the scientist, and his name is Dr. Masaru Emoto, which sounds crazy, but he did this experiment where he got distilled water and he put it in two separate containers. When he did that, he put those two containers into the freezer. So he left those in there for a little while, let them freeze, and when he took them out, he set them down. And to one of the distilled water in the containers was frozen, so pretty much ice. He looked at it and he said, thank you, I love you, which sounds silly, but this is true. It's a real experiment. You can look it up. And he says, thank you, I love you. And then he looks at the other one, and he says, I hate you, I'm going to kill you. So to one, he said something positive. To the other one, he said something negative. So upon further research, he looked at the photographs of the molecular structure of each separate one. So for the one he spoke negatively to and said, I hate you, I'm going to kill you, this was the molecular picture, which looks like a blob. So, as exciting as that is, he continued on with his research and his experiment, and so he took a picture of the second one, the one he had spoken positively to. And this picture came up a little bit different. This picture looked like this. That's a snowflake. That's amazing. So after he had done this experiment and done a little bit more research into the reason behind all this stuff, he came up with the conclusion that there are energies that we send off when we speak. They're energies that we put forward. And so when he did this with the snowflake one, that was called positive energy, simple enough. With the negative one that he spoke negatively to, it's called a detrimental energy, which is a very powerful word, detrimental. So I want you to understand, just by seeing this experiment that seems crazy but is very true, and he really did do, that there are completely different energies that we give off as we speak things to people. And I think that's one of the reasons why it has such a huge effect, because it really is a materialistic thing as well as psychological when you are speaking these things to these people. So, I have this friend, and her name is Gloria. She grew up in Detroit. It was beautiful. She had a beautiful, beautiful childhood and just so much fun. She had a really big family, grew up with both her mom and her dad, but when she was 12 years old, her mother passed away in a car accident. So from that point, she needed a comfort. She needed something to fulfill that place. You know, she didn't know how to handle it. She didn't know how to handle loss in general, but her mom, nonetheless, you know, and so she ended up binge eating and just eating and eating to fill that place and using that as her comfort. So she would eat and continually eat, and by the time she was, you know, out of middle school and into high school, she had weighed a lot more than she did. She was a bigger girl. So when she gets to high school, everyone thinks, for whatever reason, that it's so funny to make fun of people because of their weight. So people would call her fat. Guys apparently would nickname her things like involving cows and the size of cows and such things like that. And so she because of that, because of the words that they were speaking over her and making fun of her with, she in turn ended up with anorexia. She became anorexic. She became bulimic. When she would look into the mirror and see herself, she would see herself weighing 50, 60 pounds more than she actually did, because it was a psychological thing. Not only that, she would eat and then make herself throw up in order to not let any of the fatty, you know, carbs or calories or any of that get into her body and make her gain weight. So she ended up being very small, very skinny, but carrying this disease, and even now has a problem with her teeth and tooth decay, and has to get all of this fixed. And it was just a big mess, and it was terrible, but all because something horrible had happened to her and then resulted in her gaining weight, and then from there people making fun of her, which resulted in anorexia. And just the power of simple words like "you're so fat" and thinking that's so funny, things like that. So I want you to just see that. I know it seems simple. It seems simple when you can look at it and know, okay, well, I mean, I'm still going to call people fat. Like, I'm still going to say, like, you know, things that I think are funny while making fun of somebody else. But, you know, scientifically, psychologically, just in so many different ways, it affects people and it affects their identity. When it comes to identity, there are a lot of things that weigh into that. Relationships weigh into that. The things you're watching, you know, movies, school, a lot of different things. Parents, a lot of things weigh into who you are and take a place in that. But one of the biggest things is your memory. And unlike animals who are designed to have, you know, they know how to nurture, they know how to hunt and all of that, they don't have memories like we do. Humans were created with memories, and it really is incredibly beautiful to study. But the fact that we have that means that when we go through the beginning stages of our life, every memory that we have from there until now, until the present, has affected us in some way. And I'm sure that all of you here have had really hard times in life so far, you know, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a death in the family, anything. It could be anything that's hard. There's also good things that have happened that you can think back to, and you're like, this was such a great memory, this was such a great time. And you can see all these different things. And if you take a minute to just stop and think about each one of these, or just even the big moments and big things that have happened in your life, you can see how they've affected you now, how they've affected the person you are now. So with knowing that, with that knowledge, coming into a school or even just a group of friends or even at the mall, just anywhere you are, knowing that people have gone through hard things, we have to be careful with what we say over them, about them, in all areas. Let's say that you were my friend Gloria and your mom had passed away. So since that had happened to you, you know, you had gained that weight and you came to school, and I thought it was just, you know, terrible, and it broke my heart. But then there's this you over here, see her, and you think it's funny that she's big, so then you make fun of her for being big, and then because of what you say to her, constantly filling her mind with that, in turn she becomes anorexic and develops a disease, that makes her starve herself. And it really is that true and that powerful and that effective. You have to understand it really is a big deal. There's some statistics that I'll share with you guys. 160,000 students stay home from school every single day because of bullying, which is absolutely incredible and sad. 20% of high school students in America have said that they are bullied at least once a day, which is awful. And then 20% of high school students say that they've been suicidal and thought of suicidal thoughts within the past 12 months, which is terrible. So if we can, even just the little things we do, if we can have a place in this and have an effect in this in a positive way, then why wouldn't we do that? I want you to see that even the way y'all speak to each other, even the little things that happen here and that are spoken, are very powerful, are very effective. And I wanted to bring that to reality to you guys and in your understanding and just helping that to grow and know that even the little things are very effective. So with the words on my arms, I wanted you to be able to get a visual image that would maybe just stay with you and click in your head. I have words on here that say different things like fat, lonely, ugly, beautiful, gay, lovely, geek, nerd, dumb, just a ton of words that are spoken over people constantly that we don't even realize sometimes, But just think about this. When people speak something over me, none of these are true. Well, I mean, the good ones, the positive ones, we'll say those are true, but the bad ones and stuff. I think that when someone speaks something over me, that's how it is. It sticks on me. It sticks on my identity. So when you're speaking words to people, know that they're sticking on them and it's becoming a part of who they are. Your words help to formulate a person's identity. So with this, just know that's the effect they're having. That's how powerful they are. People wear them. People, wear them as if that's a realistic characteristic they have and a trait that they have. And we have a place in being able to make that a positive or negative thing. So I think knowing that, we should be able to try as hard as we can not to be negative and not speak terrible things over people, knowing the end result can be really good or really bad. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope it was understandable. I just wanted to help you guys see how effective this is, how powerful this is, and thank you for listening. I hope you'll have a great day.